Humankind is constantly being presented with challenges. Some are small, some are big, some are trivial, some are gravely serious. Some may seem to have no solution at all. When you have issues, MRIGlobal is the answer. Bring us your how do I do that's, your what nows, your pipe dreams, and roadblocks, because our team of experts includes some of the best minds in their respective fields: defense, global health, and energy. And they're in the business of working closely with clients to solve specific problems on any scale. Through applied scientific engineering and research, we've revolutionized soap, studied the effects of urban smog, and designed spacesuits for NASA's astronauts. Our multidisciplinary commitment to problem solving continues today, with global health initiatives to help patients with Ebola, cancer, Alzheimer's, and HIV. Security initiatives that keep soldiers safer and better equipped for the dangers of tomorrow. And renewable energy research to power our growing global economy. The opportunity to make an impact on our world and change it for the better is what drives our culture. We live for the challenge of using science and technology to create solutions for a safer, healthier, and more sustainable world. And we're not stopping anytime soon. The science you expect, the people you know.
We are primarily concerned with countering weapons of mass destruction. So we're working with customers that have on their minds every day, how are we going to protect our soldiers? How are we going to protect our civilians from chemical, biological weapons, radiological, nuclear weapons, and explosives? Countering weapons of mass destruction, we do it through science and technology solutions. And you can break down our business area really into three other areas. The first one being field-forward analytics. And that is literally taking the laboratory and putting it where it's needed for our customers. So that could be a forward operating base. It could be at the heart of an epidemic or disaster relief. It's taking the pieces of equipment, ruggedizing them, teaching customers how to use them, or actually supplying the staff ourselves, fabricating the laboratories, putting them any place in the world, and then providing analytical answers where the information is needed the most. The second part is with advanced technologies. That is working with a customer to try to understand what is in their mind, a concept that they want to develop. And then we take that concept with them and we develop it into a product. Then we train them on how to use it, and then once it's deployed, then we can also provide the subject matter expertise to them to be able to help them through any rough spots or even take it to a new version. And that's some of the coolest work that we do. The third area is we know the groups that are out there making the state-of-the-art sensors, the state-of-the-art detectors, but they don't necessarily know the other customers that they could move into a market with. Those would be some of our government customers. So we can help them out in two different ways. One is to work with them as an objective third party and help develop their technologies with them, and then introduce them to a different mission set with those products where they can be utilized. New sensor technologies, new detectors that can be used in the field to be able to investigate, diagnose threat agents.
So we do a lot of the analytical testing for things, checking for impurities and things like that in these chemicals because we want these chemicals to be pure. Chemicals that aren't regulated by the FDA or EPA or other places, they can be nominated to NTP, the National Toxicology Program. And what they'll do is review it and consider if it's something that they deem that there's not enough toxicological data. And it's things that we're exposed to all the time. We're running the gamut from looking at the chemical itself and to the effects that it has on sometimes the environment, but mostly human health. For NTP, we do everything. So we do chemical procurements. When something's nominated and they say, okay, let's move forward with it, we procure the chemical. Sometimes it's in milligram quantity, sometimes it's like carloads of chemical, because what we do is we're the repository for them. If they have other people that want to do studies, other researchers, we will send them some of the chemical, or we'll test it ourselves as well. So there's a lot of collaboration and synergy with all of their studies. We also do chemical handling to where we will make sure it's one pure lot. So we'll characterize it and then check for impurities, make sure that what the chemical that they are interested in, that's really the only thing that's in there. We do the bioanalytical as well. So we look at all different biological tissues to check small, very small quantities in some complex matrices. We store the chemicals under different conditions. We can characterize them to make sure that they are stable and that they are still what they are with no new impurities or degradation of any kind. And then we can ship them out to researchers internationally as well. We have a lot of good processes in place and good export control to make sure that everything is being done correctly. We're developing methods for really complex things that it takes time, it takes knowledge, and a lot of care and understanding to get these methods developed.
The reality is that in medicine, this is kind of a shocking thing, but between 30 to 70% of diseases are undiagnosed. So even when a clinician sees you in a hospital setting, they probably will give you a diagnosis of gastroenteritis. We have no idea what type of gastroenteritis you have. You might have one of 1,000 different pathogens that cause that. So what we're trying to do is develop assays that tell you which pathogen caused that disease. Then the physician can actually give you something specific to treat that disease. Then it also tells us from a community-based situation whether or not there's a community risk that's going on. Are there lots of people showing up with this specific disease, and do we have an outbreak going on? And so that's what we're trying to develop for that side of the clinical side. We're typically developing one of three types of diagnostic tools. So they're usually antibody-based, which are based on little detectors that can detect the pathogen, and that can be on something as simple as like a pregnancy test system. That's a little antibody-based test. So it detects a certain hormone that's in the urine, and same thing we're developing for either blood or for urine or other body fluids. Another method is to use PCR, polymerase chain reaction assays, essentially a method in which you can actually amplify the pathogen out of the blood or out of the tissue. You can then see it visually with a detector probe that's on that, and that can actually be run on a machine that sees that. And then the last method that we're using now is called next generation sequencing. That's when you take a sample and you actually sequence everything that's in the sample, including the host sometimes. But you're trying to dehost it and then look at the pathogens that are present. And that's the new evolution of what we're doing now.
People will often come to us with problems that are what would be considered sort of a typical pharmaceutical problem. I've got this disease I'm trying to treat, I'm trying to develop a pharmaceutical for it. Can you guys help me with it? We can handle individual pieces of it. We can also do larger portfolios of work that are geared towards solving that problem. What MRIGlobal provides to kind of cross this bridge to get a material towards commercialization are things like active pharmaceutical ingredient manufacturing, so we can go in and make the active pharmaceutical ingredient for people. We can do some of the preclinical toxicology tests here so that when they reach a clinical trial setting, they can actually be used safely in that environment. We've got data to prove that. We do a lot of analytical chemistry here, so we'll do all of the analytical chemistry, method development, and validation that's required to show that the material is meeting the requirements that were set forth, so things like potency and purity. We'll do stability testing to show that the material is stable over time, and that's particularly important when the material is being used in a clinical trial. Typically at that stage, they don't know if the drug is going to be stable while it's in the clinic, and you want to have data to support that. We can also help with drug product manufacturing, and once it is made, we have a repository up in North Kansas City. There we have a 10,000 square foot GMP warehouse where we store and distribute clinical trial material to clinical trial sites across the United States, and we've been doing that now for nearly a decade. Where MRIGlobal comes in is more, there's something in here, I don't know what it is, can you tell me what's in it? So we'll take those sorts of problems on where it's a little bit more open-ended research-based program where we're really trying to investigate sort of an unknown and come up with an answer.
I'm Mark Reynolds. I'm a senior mechanical engineer here at MRIGlobal, and I specialize in virtual and augmented reality. Virtual reality, normally you're talking about having a headset on or something that's immersing you in a digital environment of some sort. You normally have hand controls that allow you to move around in the world, interact with different objects in that world. With augmented reality, you typically have a device or either a headset or some kind of a handheld that you're able to still see the world around you, but it's digitally overlaying something on there or giving you text or audio voiceover, perhaps if it was a headset. A lot of people know like Pokemon Go with their phones or a tablet, and so you can still see the space and the world around you. For MRIGlobal and how we're using AR and VR technology, a lot of it has been with training for different users. We're able to take devices that are being currently developed. Maybe there is not a real world device yet. They're still being developed, but we're able to take the 3D models of those and then put those into the augmented or the virtual realm. And then the clients can use that to get feedback on how well that device is possibly going to be operated or things they need to work on with inputs, and just also develop training for a new user, rather than having to sit through and read 200 pages of a instruction manual or maybe PowerPoint presentations. They could have this at home. They could have it, with some of our typical clients, it's soldiers on base somewhere. They could have that item shipped to them and be able to put on the headset and be able to go through that training no matter where they're at. Again, it's a virtual world. We always joke that when we're going through training is you can't break anything except for the device, but we can have them go in and they can have manipulate a device and push buttons and just try to do things incorrectly as a training method to see how their learning is going. And so you can have performance metrics that help tell how well this person has learned this particular training. Maybe they didn't follow the steps properly and they took something apart they weren't supposed to take apart, so you could have it simulated in the virtual environment and you don't pose the same threat. We're still developing, getting accustomed to the VR AR world, and it is changing, but we're gaining a lot of experience with that, and just with client feedback, it's been very helpful for them, and just being able to get soldiers and other users onboarded quickly with the technology. I would say it's definitely something to check out and have us come give a demonstration, and we can work with you to decide what would work best for you.
Introducing the containerized biocontainment system from MRIGlobal. The CBCS is a first of its kind flyable transport unit that's designed to evacuate patients who need life-saving treatments to clinical centers, all while maintaining complete biocontainment of dangerous pathogens. The unit features several rooms inside. An anteroom for safely donning and doffing personal protection equipment. A patient treatment area equipped with life-saving medical equipment that can accommodate 4 patients and 4 caregivers. And a rest area that can accommodate 2 caregivers at a time. The CBCS comes equipped with 16 hours of oxygen for patients, emergency oxygen for caregivers, and battery backup power. And highly filtered airflow through the system isolates each room and keeps pathogens from escaping. The unit is a critical component of the Department of State's Medical Evacuation Toolkit and has recently been used to get patients out of harm's way. The flyable, containerized biocontainment system from MRIGlobal. Introducing the Athena Lab from MRIGlobal. We designed our mobile lab series to give field professionals the ability to perform rapid, reliable, and accurate laboratory analysis in a platform that deploys quickly and efficiently, both domestically and across the globe. Athena features an 18-foot expandable section that creates 82% more floor space and 40% more workbench space. With this section retracted, the lab maintains ISO shipping container specifications, which helps reduce the shipping footprint and cost. Custom built based on ISO container standards, the Athena Lab allows professionals to work comfortably and safely in even the harshest environments. The main power system accommodates both US and international electrical standards, and a scalable integrated backup battery system ensures consistent power and protects instruments from surges. Entry into the unit is controlled by numeric cipher locks on both the single door and double door, and it is easily integrated with an alarm system that alerts to containment failures and fire detection, includes a panic switch, and can be connected to other labs in the system. Inside the quiet interior, the sturdy infrastructure eliminates the need for most table legs, which allows technicians to move freely and reconfigure workspaces quickly. The floor is flat and sealed, so spills and contamination can be contained easily. A dimmable LED light system ensures the entire space is well lit. An improved airflow and insulation helps reduce temperature gradients within the lab. The benefits of the Athena Lab and its complete array of capabilities include eliminating the need to send samples elsewhere to get results. Results can be generated in a matter of hours rather than weeks, and reduced numbers of corrupted and lost samples. To receive a quote on the Athena Mobile Lab, visit MRIGlobal.org/Athena. The Athena Lab from MRIGlobal.
We feel like protectors. We want to be protective of our world, whether it's the environment, our plants and animals, and our fellow humans.
I've been working at MRIGlobal for 8.5 years, and it is so special to me because, it is my passion, and honestly, with the program that I'm working on from the toxicological side of things, it's directly affecting me, my family, my friends, anybody. It's human health, and so that's the drive, is that it's something greater than me. It's not just come in, get your work done, and go home. It's for all of us, really.
My favorite part about working at MRIGlobal is the challenges, is the different scenarios that you see on a day-to-day basis. What we're doing really is making an impactful difference on people's lives, and that's really a nice reward to have at the end of the day.
We all love tough technical problems. So give us a tough technical problem and we'll try to find a way to solve it. And that's what we're good at. That's what we've been doing for almost 75 years, is figuring out how to do the hard stuff.
Every aspect of our business since the 1940s when we were formed is different today than it was then. What hasn't changed is that we're still customer focused. So that mission, we follow that mission. If it's important to our customers, it's important to us. If it's important to our nation, important to our country, important to the world, then it's important to MRIGlobal. And those needs change as time marches on.